Welcome to Infinity Reviews. Oh! Oh no! Oh my god! No, no way! Oh! It's Sabretooth! Oh, look at these fights! Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to Infinity Reviews. And this weekend, I got to go check out Gladiator 2, the newest Ridley Scott film. I was very excited to see this. We had two great movies that came out this weekend, and that was Wicked and Gladiator 2. And I have to say, Gladiator 2 surprised me. I enjoyed this movie a lot more than I thought I would. Now, of course, there are still some problems with the film. A lot of problems with the film. But first, we're going to talk about, the good. This is one of Ridley Scott's better movies. It's a really great story. The story of, kind of a redemption story for Lucius. Lucius, of course, was in the original Gladiator films. He was the son of Connie Nielsen, and of course, we also learned, this is in the trailer, so it's not really a spoiler. He's the son of Maximus. And in this film, he doesn't want to be that character. So it's kind of him having to take the role of leading these gladiators, kind of inspiring these Romans and keeping the dream of his father, not his father and grandfather alive. And of course, he is put into contract with Denzel Washington's character, who is this aristocrat, who wants to just gain more power. And I'd say Ridley Scott, I think, knocked it out of the park. I think if you want to do a Gladiator movie, if you want to do a good follow-up, this is good because it honors the legacy. I feel like it honors it. Now, there is one thing about the movie that is kind of off to me. It's very similar in ways to the first Gladiator. This mysterious gladiator who's enticing the entire city of Rome comes in and he wants to get revenge against the person who wronged him. If I describe me describing that right now, you can't tell I'm describing the first or second Gladiator. Yes, because they're very similar in nature, but still, it's an enjoyable movie. I'm not gonna lie, it's an enjoyable film. I can see people going back to go see this again. I can go see people going back saying, I'm going to go see this film again. I think, the political, I think it would have been hard. I think it's hard to make a movie where you make a movie about, all I want to see is gladiators fighting to the death in the ring. But a lot of the political stuff is very interesting as well. And all these characters, some are a bit, there's one character I didn't really particularly like, but a lot of these characters are really, really enjoyable. You root for a lot of these characters. So let's go over those characters. First, of course, is Paul Mescal's Lucius. I've seen some work of Paul Mescal. Paul Mescal very much works in the indie type of movies. He does a lot of indie movies. So this is kind of his first big budgeted, big studio movie, and I loved him in this movie. You're rooting for Paul Mescal through this entire film because, you want him to succeed. But there's also a point in the film where he has a choice to kill a certain character. He has a choice. He can get his revenge or he can do something else, stop the cycle of violence. And he makes the decision to forgive, which in the situation that person did to him was oh my gosh, this guy has a heart. This guy is different than your other type of gladiator. He's a warrior, of course, but he knows that, he knows the difference between right and wrong. And, there's some really powerful scenes with him. He had some really powerful scenes, of course, with Connie Nielsen as his mother, Lucilla, who, of course, was in the original film. Those moments are very, very powerful. And then, him and Denzel have really great chemistry as well, because it's mainly they two are the leads of the film. Paul Mescal and Denzel are the leads, and no one is really outshining the other. Sure, it's Denzel Washington. Of course, he's going to steal the show, but I think it's great that I came out of the movie Paul Mescal. he was still really great in those scenes with Denzel, who really is a scene stealer. But I think the character that of Lucius, if Ridley Scott want to make Gladiator 3 with this cast again with Paul Mescal, I would be down for it. Now let's move on to the guy who makes this movie, the guy who keeps you intrigued in the movie. That's Mr. Denzel Washington as Marquinhos. I kind of just know him as the aristocrat, but his actual name in the movie is Marquinhos. And, this is a really interesting character. This is a character, who he runs all the gladiators. He chooses the gladiators to fight, and he's always making off and making deals. The thing, the character I love about it is that he's a character you root for kind of in the beginning. Like, you like the character in the beginning. You get into the later half of the film, you start to really not like the character. I love that Denzel Washington could do that, could make you really enjoy the character in the beginning of the film. Like, oh, I love this guy. This guy's funny. Like, I want to see this guy succeed. But then you get into the middle. You get to the end of the film, and you're like, oh, this guy's terrible. Like, oh my gosh, he does something. He kills someone that I'm like, oh my gosh, he actually did that. He actually killed that person. And he has good reason to, We learned throughout the film that this character was one of the characters that was conquered by Rome. He was conquered by Rome. And of course, he joined the Roman Empire. He became a soldier in the army, worked under Paul Mescal's grandfather, and he rose through the ranks. And all of this, he is trying to control. He wants to be the emperor. Of course, that's his goal. But he doesn't want to just be the emperor. He wants to control everything. And sometimes, we realize through the film, sometimes that works out for the good, sometimes it works out for the bad. And, he is trying to be the new Roman emperor, amass as much power as he can. And, the thing about this film is that, it's all about the dream of Rome, where a free Rome, where everyone is equal. Because right now in Rome, you have these two emperors who are not making things equal. Everyone's just trying to get more power and power. And sometimes, you can seek as much power as you want, but that doesn't mean, that you're going to be the most powerful person in the room, It's all about Denzel Washington's character, the emperors, they all want more power. And, of course, that Paul Mescal is going to have a problem with that, and we're going to have a little fight between these two. But, of course, Denzel Washington kills it. I wouldn't be surprised if Denzel Washington gets a Best Supporting nomination for this film. Next character is Pedro Pascal's General Acacius. What I love is about Pedro Pascal in this film is that this is a character who is good. He is the ultimate good guy. He wants to fight to save the woman he loves. He doesn't want to go to war anymore because there's a line there. He says, how many more generations of men do I have to see suffer and die before the emperors realize that they already have all the power they have. He doesn't want to see. He feels like he's wiping out the next generation of Romans, the next generation of children, and showing them just violence and war. He wants to change that story. And of course, he does ultimately do battle with Paul Mescal's Lucius because they do battle in the ring. Do battle in the Colosseum. And, there's Pedro Pascal is always trying to appeal that, that I'm trying to save you because, spoiler alert, has in film. Pedro Pascal and Connie Nielsen's character are married. They're in love. Connie Nielsen, of course, was married, had to have a marriage of convenience in the last movie. But this time, she really got to choose, and they were very much in love. They very much cared about each other. That's what I love about it, and I love just how, like I said in my other video review, Pedro Pascal this character is stoic, heroic, and he, of course, in the movie does make a hero's end. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm all I'm gonna say about that. He's going to get a hero's ending, which for the character was really powerful. I think Pedro Pascal, was one of the highlights of the film for me. I don't hear being talked about enough now. How stoic that, because they set it up in the trailers like he's the villain, he's the antagonist, when really he's not. He's just a guy trying to change things, and ultimately it doesn't end well for him. Now the next character is Connie Nielsen's Lucilla, who is I think, one of the only returning characters from the original film. Uh, she is very good as well. Of course, my range of Connie Nielsen is, of course, Wonder Woman and the original Gladiator off the top of my head. Very, very like a legacy actor, kind of like Denzel Washington. And I didn't know, like, okay, like, I know the mother's in here from the last movie. I don't know what she's going to add to the story. Whenever Paul Mescal and her are in a scene, there's a very powerful scene when she starts to realize that her son, who she had sent away in the last film, is the gladiator who's inspiring everyone. And she goes in and tries to see her son again, and her son just does not want to see her, because at this point Paul Mescal's character is riddled with rage and anger because of what's happened to him, and he talks to her. It's like, you are not my mother anymore. You are just the queen. You are the past queen of Rome. I don't care about you. You sent me away and never brought me back and moved on with your life. And it was powerful. It was a powerful scene. Like, imagine like your own child saying they don't want you, or they don't even consider you part of their life, or even their mother as well. But of course they make up, and then we finally learn, who Paul Mescal's father is. And then something happens to her that I did not see happen in the film, which made me go, oh my gosh, like, oh my gosh. But again, I think a lot of the performances in this movie were also overshadowed by Denzel in the movie. Next, we're going to go into Joseph Quinn. Joseph Quinn is Emperor Geta. I've been so happy to see the success that Joseph Quinn has had in the industry. He's gone from being Stranger Things now to being Fantastic Four, and now being to also A Quiet Place. But also he's in this movie stacked with legacy actors, with some of the best actors in the world as the Emperor. And he is one of the emperors. I think he's overshadowed a bit. I think Joseph Quinn is overshadowed by the performances, because he gives a pretty good performance here. It shows that Joseph Quinn does have the chops to be a really, really great actor in the industry. But he's just, the evil emperor, But the thing about him is that he's not... I didn't really see him as evil, in a way. I know that he does evil things. He wants evil things, but, he also is calm and collected. He has a plan. He's not just some guy who was elected who did not have to do. Like, he had a plan. It's like, okay, we need to inspire the masses, so we need to conquer more. We need to do all this. He's kind of the one giving the plan. And, of course, we have his brother, who is a bit more annoying. I say his brother is a bit more annoying. So I enjoyed Joseph Quinn's performance, but he was very much a supporting character. There wasn't much dialogue. There wasn't a whole lot of scenes in the film for him. But I enjoyed his performance. He was a very smart and calculating individual. Very much like, I believe, kind of like Cersei in Game of Thrones a bit. How he always has a plan up his sleeve. Then we go to Fred Heitchinger. Fred Heitchinger, who plays the brother. This character was just annoying. I did not like this character at all, But they made a reason for it. That they said that this character had a disability. He wasn't right in the head. I think they were trying to say, like, he had a version of autism. Because he did some crazy things in the film that did not make any sense. I was like, okay, this character's okay. He was okay. It was, I guess, I just didn't enjoy the performance as I thought I would. Now, let's move on to the final thoughts for the film. The film is very beautiful. Of course, it's a Ridley Scott film. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be large in scale, with battles, with the sets. They did rebuild the sets, the Colosseum, and everything for Gladiator. I'm not... Now, you guys are thinking, like, oh, you love the movie. Like, I like the movie. I like the movie. I don't think it's the best Ridley Scott movie. I think it's very much, better than what he's done lately. But it's a good movie. It is a good movie. Now, it's not the best film of the year. There are still problems with it. I think, again, with Ridley Scott, the movie is way too long. It did not have to be over 2.5 hours. It did not have to be that long. This is like my problem with a lot of movies today. They think that the longer the movie is, the better it is. That's not true. You should tell your movie, not mattering how long it is, but how the story adds to the movie. If you have a story, keep in all the scenes that add to the story. But there are some things where it's like, okay, that doesn't need to be in there. Some of the scenes, really didn't have to be in there. Uh, that's kind of like my thoughts on the film. But I'm not saying I didn't hate the movie. I actually like this film. I think this weekend was very rare for me, where I had three things this weekend that I loved, with Wicked, Gladiator 2, and Arcane. It was a great weekend for cinema, great weekend for TV. This was an enjoyable movie. It's not. I think it's not going to get lost in the shuffle. I think people are going to go see this movie. They're going to hear that. Oh, this is a good film that you can enjoy if you enjoy Ridley Scott films or these type of movies. I think people are going to go out and watch this movie. I really do think that. I really do, guys. I really do. Now, what is my final verdict? What is my final rating on the film? I'd say I would give this movie an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10, because it's not the best movie of the year. It's not the best movie. But for me, as a film fan who enjoys Gladiator, who enjoys Roman history, I very much enjoyed the film. The fights, again, the fights were amazing. You can go back and look at these fighting scenes, in the arena. They were masterful. The sound design of the swords clacking, the sounds of the arena, it was very, very, very amazing. Especially the fights between Pedro Pascal and Paul Mescal. That was really, really cool to see. And of course, there is CG in the film. There's times also when the CG kind of threw me out of the movie. Especially when I saw the monkeys. The monkeys did not look right to me. They definitely looked computer generated and not real. But overall, guys, I think this is a good film. If you are on the fence of seeing it Thanksgiving weekend, I think go check it out. I think you're gonna enjoy it. You're not gonna go in thinking I want my money back. No, you're gonna say, I like that movie. I thought that was really, really good. I like Gladiator. If you like all that stuff, go check out the film. And that's all for me, guys. That's my reviews for Gladiator 2. Leave comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.